for me, it was always a story. It was the dad I never met, the uncle I didn't know. They lived to some degree with a death sentence over their heads for a really long time.
My father passed away in 1983 at the age of 42, and he died of an aortic dissection. My uncle, my dad's brother, at the age of 26, the dissection happened at the exact location on both aortas.
They've lived their whole lives with this. We thought it was genetic, but we didn't know. You could tell the doctors that it was present, but there was nothing that they could really do about it. You operated from a place of they do have it.
And so what the kind of diagnosis was, we don't know what it is, but there's an issue here. And so the recommendation was every year to get an echocardiogram. My brother, he was like the young single guy, healthy as can be, thought, oh, I'm good. He stopped doing his annual echocardiograms.
Greg's married at the time, and he's got young kids. And so he's already in that mindset of life insurance, longevity. I need to get them through college. I need to make sure they have a dad. And so he asked me, he's like, hey, when's the last time you got your heart checked? I don't know. He's like, I'm gonna call you regularly until you find out. And I think my doc said, oh, it's been like 6 years, Scott. But I got down to Stanford for it's called a gated CT. And he goes, well, you have an aneurysm. He goes, your aneurysm is approximately the same size as your father's aneurysm was when it burst, and it is larger than your uncle's was. By statistical standards, I had a very small aneurysm. But because of our bad gene, our family history, I had an aneurysm that was actually a deadly size already.
He quickly went down to Stanford and had his aorta replaced. And it turned out that he had a paper-thin aorta. He was like a ticking time bomb.
Dr. Milowitz and this group at the University of Texas were doing research on our potential genetic disorder. They said, hey, we'd like the portion of your aorta that they're removing for research. I said, great, happy to help.
And they basically said, you're participating in a research program, thank you, you may never hear from us again. Fast forward to 2019. I get a phone call on my phone. It was a genetic counselor calling from the program. And she's like, we found the gene.
I looked at him and I just said, do you have it? And he said no. And then I said to Scott, he said yes. And it took me a minute. And then I was like, so it means that our kids don't have it?
I felt guilty because I didn't have the gene. But my brother has the gene. And I called him up and he was thrilled. He's like, this isn't a mystery anymore. He looked at it as a positive, information. It's good. It's like, now they know. And now there's no more mystery.
Somebody from Dr. Milowitz's office reaches out and says, hey, we've made a genetic discovery. We suggest that you get both your kids tested. And fortunately, my daughter does not have the gene. My son has the gene, and so he'll be monitored for the rest of his life. The great thing about the knowledge that we have is there's a relatively easy fix. It's not a death sentence.
Nobody should ever die of this. This is a discoverable disease. And if you know it's there, you should be watched, you should be monitored, but it's a preventable disease that should not kill anybody.
In this instance, the Ritter Foundation has made a difference. It's one of those things. This is one area of medicine that we can say that the funding and the research has resulted in a incredibly positive outcome.
That's why we're here today. It is raising money for this research, for the education, for the message, Nobody should pass away of this. This should not be a mystery to anyone. This should be something that if it's 5, 10, 20 years down the road, your dollars today are gonna benefit thousands and tens of thousands of families and solve this mystery once and for all.